The Hornet's Nest, March 19, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. Let's begin by understanding that all law comes from religion, with religion being defined as a recognizable set of beliefs and practices including ethical values accepted by adherents. Most religions share what can be called universal values. In the realm of universal values, we can list life as a value. Peace is also such a value, and so is freedom. Health is another universal value. Justice, too, ranks among the universal values, as does truth. These are things that virtually all mankind can agree upon as being good and truly valuable. Now throw in a group of renegades who reject the universal values, and instead adopt the opposite set of negative values. To them, death is a universal value, war, disease, enslavement, injustice, and falsehood, are all to be sought after and upheld. Why? For profit. Of course, they don't come right out and tell everyone their value system. For obvious reasons, they prefer to work in secret. Their corrosive hatred of life itself, fueled by lust and greed, leads them to seek positions as middlemen and purveyors of what everyone else seeks, and which they despise. Thus we have the upside-down world, lawyers who know and care nothing about truth or justice or actual law, doctors who know and care nothing about health or medicine, religious leaders who sell the gifts of God as products they have cornered the market on. Last night I stirred up a hornet's nest by observing that the vermin among us have redefined marriage as a joint business venture between corporate franchises, with the state-of-state organizations assuming a controlling third-party, secret partner position with a material interest in the products, also known as children, resulting in such licensed joint ventures. This reduction of people to the status of things and of sacred private covenants to business arrangements, is part and parcel of the secret agenda of the Satanists among us, who seek to despoil everything for profit. Our identity has been stolen. We have been impersonated. Our most sacred relationships have been salaciously redefined. And who will defend us from this onslaught, if we will not wake up and defend ourselves and our children from it? I have been asked, as all these purported contracts are unconscionable, undisclosed, misrepresented, and fraudulent, why can't we simply decree them all null and void? We can do so immediately on a one-by-one basis, and on a far grander scale, albeit taking more time, we can create systemic correction also. Obviously, the more people who choose to leave the matrix of the Satanists and who reject their lies, the better for them and the better for all mankind. I need hardly take rhetorical reference to "let my people go," as those issues were decided long ago, and neither the institution of Noahide law nor the other gates of hell will stand. The most efficient means to secure an end to the satanic system is to liquidate the corporations that have engaged in this criminality, return their ill-gotten gains to the victims, and not allow the perpetrators the privilege of forming any new, replacement corporations. This is why I have been thumping on the Roman Curia for years and beating the cardinals about the chops and ears. It's their responsibility to ride herd on the corporations that they have created and to liquidate those that have operated as crime syndicates. It is also their duty to make sure that perpetrators of these evils are prevented from simply picking out a new deceptive name, booting up a new corporation, and carrying on business as usual. The misanthropic and hideously criminal behavior of the corporations used by the municipal United States Congress to act outside their designated jurisdiction is the direct responsibility of the Curia. The similar program offered by the territorial United States Congress is the secondary responsibility of the Curia, which does have the authority to liquidate the British Crown and the municipality of Westminster. Now, the question reasonably arises, but, in the words of former Archbishop Francis Hurley, if such a housecleaning is to take place, what can reasonably replace the current system without occasioning chaos? And the possibility of even worse things, including the destabilization of the world balance of power? We can all return to our lawful national governments and operate them as they should be operated. We can uphold the public law of our communities. We can lawfully convert the purloined property assets back to the ownership of those to whom they actually belong. We can gradually discharge the odious debts. We can convert the existing mechanisms to accomplish good instead of evil. Just as our assets were unlawfully converted, they can be lawfully converted. As it stands, DoD has discovered that the American states and people are owed the better part of $21 trillion worth of credit. We are also owed the return of our gold, silver, and land assets free and clear of encumbrances. We are also owed our share of the $950 trillion worth of life force value annuities collected by then Prince Philip as our insurance against a derivative collapse. We are also owed the return of an estimated $387 billion worth of gold confiscated from our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents by FDR and later purloined by the World Bank. We are also owed the release of all the birth certificate bonds and child labor contracts issued under the Miller Act. We are owed the ownership and benefit from the stock portfolios and investment funds operated for us. And in all respects, we are owed the return of our good names and estates, and all derivative interests without any continued false claims in commerce or interference from the hired help. Our unincorporated holding company, the United States of America, founded September 9, 1776, and our Federation of Member States, is still here, still in operation, still competently represented, still operates on the gold and silver standard, and is demanding the return of all our assets including our good names and estates. We are fully aware of the immensity of the undertaking implied and the switching of gears that is required. However, we have provided the means for people to return to the land and soil jurisdiction by their own volition, and we anticipate that with continued expanding awareness, the return of our lawful assets can keep pace with any anticipated need for defense and reorganization, culminating in the complete restoration and reconstruction of our federal government. While this is all being sorted out and the necessary changes are being made, we are one by one rebutting the presumption of federal citizenship, and explicitly returning our good names to the land and soil jurisdiction of our birth states. We are also declaring the permanent domicile of all named derivatives and accounts to be upon the land and soil of our State of the Union. These entities are thus returned to the realm of our public law and owed all benefits and protections of the constitutions and underlying treaties, and are not subject to any presumption of voluntary participation in commerce. We have returned the birth certificates issued by the municipal United States Congress attempting to confer their foreign citizenship upon us, and have named the Secretary of the Treasury the fiduciary responsible for discharging their debts and also the fiduciary responsible for issuing the credit and exemptions owed to our lawful persons. Let the disbursement of credit owed and the discharge of the odious debt begin on a one-by-one basis until systemic correction can be completed. The birth certificates remain as evidence of unconscionable contracting practices and crime committed against the civilian population of this country by the territorial and municipal congresses who have at all times prior to and since the so-called Civil War owed us good faith service, and who have acted as criminals in gross breach of trust with respect to the people of this country. Let all Americans, including those currently in federal civilian and military service and all federal agency personnel, thus be advised: notice to principals as notice to agents, and notice to agents as notice to principals. Please hit subscribe, like, share, embed, and get ready for many more Anna von Reitz article videos.